A drunk tourist, armed with a water pistol, thought he could humiliate a Queen's Guardsman by soaking his face in uniform. The guard stayed silent, but his unexpected response turned the arrogant tourist into a viral punchline, leaving the crowd in awe. Here Show It All began. But before we dive into this incredible story, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. We share the untold stories, secrets, and traditions of the British Guards every day. And trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. For Guardsman Thomas, the day started like any other outside Buckingham Palace. Tourists swarmed around him, their energy akin to a hive of caffeinated bees. Children screamed about ice cream, parents argued over maps, and the occasional overeager selfie enthusiast edged dangerously close to his bearskin hat. Through it all, Thomas stood motionless, his stoic expression unwavering. It was routine chaos, the kind he had learned to filter out. But then he showed up. The man was the walking embodiment of drunk tourist in London. His ensemble alone was enough to turn heads. Union Jack shorts that screamed, "I'm a cliché," oversized sunglasses that made him look more insect than human, and a tank top emblazoned with the phrase, "Keep calm and drink on." If that wasn't enough to announce his presence, the green plastic water pistol he brandished like a knight's sword certainly did. The crowd hushed as he staggered closer, sensing an oncoming spectacle. "Oi, mate," he bellowed, his words slurring together like a poorly mixed cocktail. "Bet you're bored, stiff, standing there like a statue. Want to cool down?" With a dramatic flourish, he raised the water pistol, aiming it directly at Thomas's face. The absurdity of the moment was not lost on anyone, least of all Thomas. To the crowd, he remained a bastion of professionalism, his face an unreadable mask. Inside, however, his thoughts were far less charitable. Oh, brilliant. A drunkard with a water gun. Just what I needed to elevate my day from dull to surreal. The first shot came with a soft squirt, a thin stream of water striking Thomas squarely on the cheek. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Thomas didn't flinch, he didn't blink. His silence only emboldened the tourist. "Oh, come on," the man scoffed, grinning as if he had just conquered Everest. "Tough guy, huh? Let's see how tough that hat is." He fired again, this time hitting Thomas's impeccably polished uniform. A few people in the crowd muttered disapproval. Others pulled out their phones, eager to record what they clearly hoped would escalate into viral content. Thomas's inner monologue was running on overdrive. What's next? A group TikTok dance? Someone throwing glitter at me? Is there a manual for handling drunken buffoons with water pistols? Or is this just a rite of passage? Meanwhile, the tourist, fueled by his perceived invincibility, strutted closer, shaking the water pistol menacingly. His actions screamed entitlement. "I'm a tourist. I paid for this trip. This is my entertainment." His every move seemed to declare that the Guardsman, the uniform, the centuries of tradition, none of it mattered. Not when he had a cheap plastic toy and an audience. The crowd began to murmur louder. A few called out half-hearted warnings. "Leave him alone," or "show some respect." But others egged him on, laughing and cheering as if they were watching street theater. A child with a toy water gun joined in, spraying indiscriminately at his surroundings. The scene was descending into chaos. Through it all, Thomas remained still, his discipline an unyielding wall against the absurdity unfolding before him. Yet, in his mind, he allowed one biting thought to surface. "Congratulations, sir. You've just proven that even with a water pistol you can drown in your own stupidity." As the man raised the pistol for another shot, the tension in the air was palpable. The crowd leaned in, phones at the ready, waiting for something, anything to happen. Little did they know, the man was about to become the punchline of his own show. Ignoring the collective gasp of the crowd, The tourist smugly pulled the trigger of his neon green water pistol. A thin stream of water shot forward, landing on Guardsman Thomas's face in a small but visible streak. The crowd froze, their anticipation palpable. Some stifled nervous laughter. Others instinctively reached for their phones. Was this the moment a stoic Queen's Guard would finally snap? Thomas, of course, didn't blink. He didn't flinch. He didn't even acknowledge the man's existence. But inside his mind, an entirely different scene was unfolding. Stay professional, Thomas. You can't strangle a man in front of Buckingham Palace, even if he clearly deserves it. The lack of reaction only inflated the tourist's ego. He grinned, a triumphant glint in his glazed-over eyes. "Oh, tough guy, huh? Let's see how tough that big old fuzzy hat is." With a dramatic tilt of the pistol, he aimed higher and sprayed a streak of water onto Thomas's meticulously maintained bearskin hat. A few in the crowd groaned audibly, clearly disapproving. A woman near the front whispered, "That's just disrespectful." Others, however, were already filming, eager to capture whatever chaos might follow. Some even laughed, as if cheering on a clown in a circus ring. Speaking of clowns, the performance was about to get worse. A child near the back, emboldened by the tourist's antics, pulled out his own toy water gun. With a gleeful shout, he began spraying water indiscriminately, hitting nearby tourists and even managing to splash the guardsman's boots. Parents scrambled to contain him, but the scene was quickly spiraling into absurdity. Thomas, meanwhile, stood unmoving, his professionalism like a fortress, yet, inwardly, he sighed. "Fantastic. I'm now the unwilling star of a circus. If only the tourist could throw popcorn instead of water." The tourist, convinced of his own invincibility, waved his pistol theatrically. "I'm just trying to make you smile, mate," he slurred, completely unaware of how the crowd's mood was turning. Some began to mutter their disapproval more loudly. One man near the front even shouted, "Show some respect. He's not here for your entertainment." But the drunkard paid no mind, his focus locked on his so-called audience. And so, the scene descended further into chaos. An entitled tourist, a rebellious child, and an unimpressed crowd, all revolving around Thomas, the one person who refused to be anything but dignified. Little did they know, the tourist's overconfidence was about to become his undoing. Thomas might have remained still forever, but his horse, Clara, had other ideas. Clara had served alongside him long enough to develop a certain personality, a personality that did not include tolerating drunken shenanigans. With what seemed like perfect comedic timing, Clara let out an ear-splitting neigh and took a single decisive step forward. The drunk tourist, startled out of his bravado, stumbled backward and stepped squarely into a puddle, losing his balance entirely. He toppled over with a loud splash, his water pistol flying out of his hand. The crowd erupted into laughter and applause. Even the child with the toy gun seemed impressed. From his post, Thomas finally moved, just a fraction. He turned his head ever so slightly and looked directly at the soggy man sprawled on the ground. With a voice as dry as the Sahara, he said, "Would you like some assistance? The puddle seems to be winning." The laughter of the crowd reached a crescendo as the tourist scrambled to his feet, mumbling something incoherent about just having fun. By the time the man had sloshed his way out of the crowd, the scene had already gone viral. Videos of the incident flooded social media with captions like, "When the Queen's Guard takes no prisoners," and "The horse deserves a medal." Memes popped up within hours. One featured Clara with the caption, "Don't mess with the Queen's cavalry," while another had Thomas labeled, "The ultimate poker face." As for the tourist, he unwittingly became a meme sensation, with screenshots of his soaked, bewildered face circulating under captions like, "Water gun champion," "Defeated by a puddle and a horse." The video even made its way onto international news, where pundits debated the comedic brilliance of the Guardsman's one-liner. The tourist eventually issued a half-hearted apology in a TikTok video. "Yeah, sorry if I disrespected the guards or whatever, but, they need to lighten up. It's just a joke, innit?" The comments section was merciless. "Lighten up? Mate, you got dunked by a puddle." The Guardsman literally said 3 words and owned you. Clara for Prime Minister. As for Thomas, he resumed his duties the very next day, as unflappable as ever. Behind his stoic demeanor, though, he allowed himself a small sense of satisfaction. His thoughts were simple. The Queen's Guard, undefeated by fools since 1660. If you enjoyed this story, leave a like and let us know in the comments which guard tradition you'd like us to cover next. See you in the next video.